Welcome to Wild Her Wisdom, the podcast where bold meets brilliant and wisdom gets a little wild. Join Shelley and Mary as they dive deep into real conversations about life, leadership, creativity, and everything in between. We're here to spark laughter, light up inspiration, and celebrate the wild and wise woman inside you. Whether you're chasing dreams, finding your balance, or just in need of a good laugh, you are right where you belong. Let's jump into today's journey together. This is Wild Her Wisdom.
Welcome back, listeners. We are so excited that you're here with us today. Mary and I have another fabulous and powerhouse guest here on Wild Her Wisdom. If you are a regular listener, which I hope you are, you will recognize the name Polo. She was actually the first guest on the first season of Wild Her Wisdom, and we could not be more delighted to have her back. Polo, welcome back to Wild Her Wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor to be able to do this twice now and to be with you, phenomenal ladies. So thank you.
We are lucky to have you.
Absolutely. So, Polo, let's jump right in because you are a force of nature. You've lived so many lives. You're an actor, you're a speaker, you're an author, you're intuitive. You have a new book coming out called Your Soul Code, which, spoiler alert, I'm one of the few people on the planet who has read it so far, and it's amazing. But you also have other books. You have Deep Dark Blue, you have some other things. How are you landing in this chapter of your life?
Ooh, pun intended. This chapter, I have to, I appreciate this beautiful question because so often in times of massive reevaluation in our lives or overhaul come in the wake of major life change, such as like a loss of a loved one, a relationship, a job, status, home, or health. And I, this book was written, and I say, I wrote this book, but this book wrote me, and it continues to write me every single day with every breath I take and every beat of my heart. And though it came in the wake of a job that I had lost, that feeling of just dissatisfaction with my life, and I my invitation, so often we're sitting sort of in that quiet shock of rubble-ridden mental, emotional, and physical aftermath of life's quake. And it's that when we're sitting in sort of that rubble where it's the quietest and we feel compelled to sort of take a radical diagnostic of our life and our current circumstance and ask those vital life questions like, am I happy? Am I satisfied? Am I successful? Do I feel mentally, emotionally, financially, occupationally, romantically, socially fulfilled and free? Am I who I want to be? Am I where I want to be? So often it's only in that wake of life's destruction where we ask ourselves those pivotal questions. And this book allows all of us to just take a beat and ask those of ourselves now so that we can move the needle in our own life and we can reevaluate who we are and what we want. So, this next chapter of my life, I am so excited about because I know now what my personal soul code is. And that includes offering this to others so that they can find their own personal soul code.
You learn your code through your journey, and your journey has included both very deep trauma and also powerful transformation. So, what do you think has shaped you the most?
Yes, is the answer to that question. All of it. And thank you so much for even saying that and for acknowledging that, because I think so often we try to disown parts of our experience. And if this, it's all about the journey. I'm such a nerd for transformation because why else are we here other than to really take the wisdom of from our experience and leave the rest? Like take those golden nuggets, take those code crackers that allow us to live and express our highest frequency and leave the pain and leave the suffering behind. So every single thing in our life is relevant. It's perfectly and exquisitely placed along our path for us to use it ultimately to help us get to know ourselves better, our true self better. So our journey is about the discovery of our authentic self, right? Authenticity is the journey. And I was speaking with a friend of mine earlier about healing and what healing is. And healing in from trauma, from anything, just from day-to-day life experience, the contact sport that is life, is really remembering who you truly are. And by remembering, I literally mean the opposite of dismemberment, right? Remembering, bringing back those disparate, those perceived disparate parts of ourselves so that we can heal ourselves whole. It's shedding anything that's blocking us from the communication between our hearts and our heads. That is healing. So, in order to do that, my own personal philosophy, and this is part of the framework for your soul code, is to really get to know yourself wholly. Really turn on your flashlight of awareness and go in those dark and gnarly corners of your mind and memory and look at everything that you've survived. Look at everything that you have traversed and been through and accept them as they happen. Accept them that they have happened. Then in doing that, in shedding that light of awareness and going on that exploration, that journey, then you can learn to love yourself unconditionally. And you can really appreciate the fact that you survived what you have been through. You survived it and you're here. So you get to know yourself wholly and you learn to love yourself unconditionally so that you can live in the freedom of your authenticity. And to me, it's the most pivotal and important journey that you could ever take because it not only affects your life, but it affects the contribution and the impact that you make in the world.
I love that. And, as I said, I'm the only one of the few, I don't want to say the only one, but one of the few who has read Soul Code. And what you're saying resonates with me so much. I'm an avid reader. And I remember from one of the Buddhist books I read, and I can't remember what it is right now. I think it's Jack Cornfield. Am I saying that right? I think
At
that's
Canfield?
Jack Canfield. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the books that I read of his, it talks about forgiveness. When you say like the flashlight, like he talks about forgiveness as giving up the hope of a better past. And that really resonates with me, right? Because in truth, we spend so much time looking forward, so much time looking back, and really missing the here and now. And when you can use that flashlight to look around and say, yep, that did happen. That did happen. And forgiveness doesn't mean you're forgiving someone who did something traumatic to you. It's all for yourself and being able to move forward. There's a lot of Buddhist philosophy on that too. Like if you've been in prison for all these years and if you're still so angry at your captors, then they're essentially still keeping you in prison, right? You're not living in the here and now. So I love that reference. So when I read Soul Code, it was really a spiritual journey for me. And I was so honored when you asked me to read it. Um, just beyond, it was just such a complete honor for me. And I took it on spring break with me. And I thought, I'm gonna do this for Polo. And I ended up doing it for me. Like I'm like, I've got to get to the next page. I've got to get to the next page. I've got to see, I was texting you throughout the way, like, this is huge. I can see you on the Today Show. Like, this is so impactful. Talk to me about the concept, may be the wrong word, but how the book came to be.
My goodness, you're gonna make me cry. Thank you for saying that. And I have to thank you in turn for being such a beacon in my heart where when I close my eyes and ask who is the first person who should have this book, your face popped in immediately. So thank you for accepting my my invitation to read it. So my quest has always been to really figure out why it is true that everything is here to help us discover the truth of who we are. My mission in life has been to discover who I am and why the hell I'm here. Why am I here right now, right here, right now? So, your soul code is all of my fumbles and foibles and all of my follies. It is the result of everything that I have tried through trial and error, everything that I have experienced through devastating lows and euphoric highs, ecstatic highs. This is everything that I have come to learn in life about who we are. And most specifically, your soul code is a tool to discover who you are, what you need, what lights you up, how you can create the life you actually want while making the most positive impact in the world. Your soul code is your why. It is a framework and a tool to discover your purpose for being right here and right now. So for me in my life, my I am here to be the full expression of my true self. And from that state, invite and ignite others to do the same. That's my mission here on earth. I am here to really exemplify the fact that you can break apart and break wide open and stand naked in the face of existence and realize how beautiful you are. It is my job to create space for that and invite people into that space because in my wiring, I am always looking for the most efficient way to not only be who you truly are, but transform yourself and allow yourself to shed anything that is not in perfect harmony with that. So this, your soul code, is what I have learned from my experience along the way as the most efficient and impactful way to do that. And
You're
that's
touching my soul today. I don't think I've ever wanted to read a book more. Like right now, I can't wait. There is a really deep theme in your work of remembering. So, why do you think so many of us forget who we are? And what does remembering look like in everyday life?
Ooh, what a great question. And I think it's perfectly apt, especially for today, given the amount of information, the barrage of information that is flying at us and around us
Yes.
every single second. So it is vital we remember the truth of who we are because everything else, as you ask, it's just pain. It's just patterns. It's just programming. It's our constant conditioning from birth away from our own internal guidance system. It is that conditioning to look externally for not only power, but validation, advice, opportunity, when the truth of the matter is there is no higher authority for your life than you. And if you don't have open lines of communication to your own intuition, which by the way comes through communication through your body, not just your brain. Everything is mind, meaning that includes your body. Your heart knows the truth. When we deny one part of ourselves, we're denying all parts of ourselves. And so if we can learn how to be still, take a beat, tap in to that stillness and the infinite generosity of the present moment, we can also tap into that infinite intelligence, which is coursing to us and through us in every given moment. It allows us to really open up those lines of communication so that we can trust our own guidance system, which, by the way, is personalized just for us, according to our beautiful constellation of attributes, according to what we want, what we've ordered up for our life, all of our deepest desires, who we are, where we are. It takes into consideration everything. So if we're not listening to that advice, then we are abdicating our power with every decision that we make according to someone else's expectation. It's
Mhm.
I always say authenticity is freedom. And I mean pure freedom. It's you beyond any limited identity. It's you without having to do all of the exhausting work of being bound to someone else's perception or a slave to someone else's expectation. Authenticity is freedom. It's the in the moment actualization of that which you truly are, meaning like it is the raw, real, boundless core, most efficient, most aerodynamic version of who you came to be, which is a sovereign being in charge of creating your own reality and free, free, free beyond measure.
I loved what you said. When we deny any part of ourself, we deny all parts of ourself. And that is so powerful. It reminds me of a quote. I'm not going to be able to attribute it. Listen, I take in more information on a daily basis than many people. So I remember the good stuff, but not always the details. But the quote, you are the sky, everything else is just the weather.
Mm.
And remembering that, we are this big, beautiful thing and things will come and go, but you've got to stay true to who you are, which that just always comes to me when I think of you, Polo. And one of the things that you often say is you don't have to earn your worth. You're already worthy. Why do you think worthiness at its core is like such a wound for so many of us, especially females, like especially women, right?
Oh, absolutely. It is the linchpin that is the sole difference between the solitary difference, we'll say, between living a life that you truly desire and anything else. Worthiness, the fact that worthiness is not something that you earn, it's something that you are, right? Innately, inherently. And I think from moment one, we are conditioned to ever since like we are a baby looking up at our moms in our crib, reacting to her expression on her face, whether it's happy or whether it's sad, we think that that is our responsibility to be happy for other people, to create anything, whatever emotion, whatever weather pattern, as you say, that passes into somebody's experience. We think we're responsible for that. And therefore, we look to other people to have that responsibility to give us our emotion, our happiness, our power, our permission, when in fact it is absolutely the other way around. So all of those things are inside jobs. And I think worthiness is such a pivotal issue for all of us, especially women, because we are conditioned to people please. We are conditioned to make sure that everybody else is okay before we take care of ourselves. And the biggest lesson in that is to understand that our capacity to love another person is directly proportional to our capacity, our ability to do that for ourselves. We don't think of it like that because we're conditioned to think of other people before ourselves. And at the same time, we are leaving so much out of the equation if we don't understand that happiness is an inside job, that freedom is an inside job, that every single thing in our reality is an inside job, as within, so without. So worthiness allows you to tap into the nature of who you are, which is all powerful, a soul spark of all that is. We are pure consciousness in human form. This is a divine experience through the vehicle of our bodies. This vessel, our body, is a vessel for our dreams. It is a vehicle for our contribution. If we're not taking care of it, how could we possibly take care of anybody else? So it's not only it's not woo woo, it's not ethereal. It is physics, it is biology, and it's vital. It's vital that we understand our innate worth. Because if we stay silent in a room full of people that absolutely needs our voice, we're doing a disservice. We're doing a disservice not only to ourselves, but to everybody in that room and the world at large.
I feel like you should walk around with a microphone because at the end of every sentence, you could do a mic drop. I mean, just because you're just like boom, boom, boom. It's making so much sense. I feel like you're talking to me in this podcast today. You're really resonating. And I have to say thank you for that. And you said something earlier about, your heart knows. You talk about intuitive intelligence as kind of a soul language. So was there a time you didn't trust your intuition? And then how did you learn to honor that?
Ooh, that's such a brilliant question. And the answer is, of course. There are moments in my life where I ignored that little voice in the back of my head. I ignored that little flag that raised, that hair on the back of my neck standing up, that feeling in my gut of what I should do. And I will invite everybody who's listening right now to think of the times that sparked the most anger within yourself, that righteous anger, and just take a look at the circumstances surrounding it. Because that level of violation, our ability to be triggered by something external or situational or something that happens, that can only happen when our personal values, our boundaries are violated. We are rarely ever angry at somebody else. We are angry at the fact that we did not listen to what we knew to be true. We did not follow our intuition. It is in those moments where I have found the most pain and suffering, and there's no other word for it to just other than excruciating pain. So it is in those pivotal moments where I say to myself, I knew better. I had that whisper of intuition. I knew it. I knew it in my gut. I knew it in my heart. I knew it in my whole body, and I overrode it. I overrode it because I was worried about either fitting in or hurting somebody's feelings or not following through on a commitment that I made or being perceived as flaky or flighty or anything. When the truth of the matter is your heart speaks the truth. Everything else is just communication. So if we're not listening to that voice, if we're not, our hearts are the portal to the place at which we're all one. When we speak to our heart and through our heart, we speak to all hearts. That is the universal vibrational language that we can communicate with anyone and anything. And we can also like have a beautiful symbiotic relationship with the world around us. If we're not honoring that and true to that, then we are not allowing other people to have the clarity to decide how they want to respond and they want to act. It's a gift not only for ourselves, but it's a gift for other people. If you're asked to do something and you say, hard no, you know what? I'm not able to do that at this time, but thank you so much for asking without being woody or being like, well, maybe I'll think about it. When you really don't want to do it, when you're not in alignment with it, that clarity of a hard no allows people then to be like, oh, okay. All right, you know what? We're going to figure out another way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so efficient and it's really so beautiful. And we feel badly about it in every second because we're taught that we should be available to all people and we should be all things to all people. And that our intuition and our feeling behind it really doesn't matter as much as getting the job done. Whatever that may be, whatever that discourse is, we're conditioned over and over again to believe it. But the truth of the matter is, I honor the sovereignty in you and I honor the sovereignty in myself. And if everybody does that and honors truly their own like highest excitement and their own alignment and soul calling, everything works in divine choreography.
Absolutely. So this theme that you have, Polo, and I have, the honor and privilege of calling you a friend, is, you're really talking about the sacred and the practical. But we know life gets messy, right? Life gets messy or it gets heavy and things happen. What's your go-to grounding when you feel like you're not saying thank you so much for thinking of me, but that doesn't work for me right now? What's your go-to to get you recentered? Because there's no perfection, right? None of us, we're all practicing this life. And so I'm going to assume that you're also living a human experience.
What? God, are you kidding me? There's not a day that goes by that I don't fall flat on my face in some way or another, of course. And I think that's the beauty of this life experience. It is a contact sport. It is a contact sport, and we all stumble and fumble and fail beautifully. And if we have a go-to practice, and I'll tell you mine, but if we have a go-to practice that we can really reliably count on to allow us to take a beat and put space between whatever's in front of us or happening around us and whatever is going on inside of us, then it is from that place where we can respond rather than react. And it is so important. So one of the things that, and I go through this in the book first and foremost because it was such a pivotal, fundamental shift in my life, is to really just step back, put the world on pause, even if it's going into the bathroom during a meeting and giving myself those 120 seconds to just take a beat and putting my hand on my heart, taking 3 deep breaths and asking myself, how do I feel? What do I feel in my body right now? Because if your body is screaming and your nervous system is jacked, there is something wrong, whether it's perceived or imminent. You have to honor it. You have to honor it because if you override it and you stifle that innate response of your nervous system, you are training yourself that A, it doesn't matter. Your physical safety doesn't matter. You're teaching yourself how to ignore feeling safe in your body, and you're immediately giving power to anyone and anything over how you feel inside. And that is the ultimate slavery. That is the ultimate form of slavery. So, hand on your heart, 3 deep breaths. How do I feel? If you can start identifying that, then you can understand, as you so beautifully put, Shelley, we are the sky, we're not the weather patterns. It doesn't matter whatever weather pattern you are experiencing, whatever weather pattern of emotion you're experiencing at any given time, if you are able to put enough space between that, know that you are the sky and not the thundercloud, then you can see it for what it is and you can allow it to pass. You can look at it for its beauty and its tumult. You can glean the wisdom and leave the rest. You can experience it not as yourself, but as something that is moving through yourself. And then you can start asking those questions. Why did I create this? And the ultimate question, which is, how is this the best thing that has ever happened to me?
Mm.
And when you start exploring that, then you have mastered yourself. You have mastered how to take in and process this life experience. And you understand in those moments, this will pass. Everything is here to help us discover the truth of who we are. And ultimately, everything is here for us to experience and to really curate and create the reality that we want to experience.
Wow. Well, we often say at Wild Her Wisdom that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. So how has your understanding of your own power evolved?
Ooh, I love that. Oh, I love that. And whenever somebody whispers, so if we can tune ourselves to like the that whisper of intuition, if we can learn how to truly like tune our ear, our inner ear, our hearts to that, ooh, then you're really hearing the language of your heart. And if I am being completely honest, which I always am, I'm still learning that. I'm still learning how to really embody my power because I'm still revealing it, right? And that's this beautiful journey. And it's interesting, given however we were raised, in whatever household we were raised, whatever dynamic we were raised, in school, in relationships, in work, professionally, personally, all of that. How do you be your most powerful self within the existing dynamic without wanting to dim your light, hide who you truly are, without feeling like you have to kowtow um, or hide in any way. And I think that's a lifelong journey. And
Mhm.
finally, this is where worthiness comes in full stop. Because if you realize, like, it's not only our right to understand the fact that worthiness is not something you earn, it's something you are, that our voice is needed, that diversity is innovation, that we literally are contributing to the world by being our weirdo, idiosyncratic self. Like all of those things that we perceive make us different. These are the most important things that we bring to the world. That's why we came. That's why authenticity is the most important thing ever, because it allows us to contribute that innovation that the world needs and spark different thoughts and different feelings and different expression. So if we can allow ourselves to embrace that more and more and reveal that more and more and embody that more and more, then we're not only helping ourselves, we're helping every single situation that we're in. We're also examples, living, shining, breathing examples, giving other people permission to do the same.
But the book, and I will say really your life, the way that you lead it is about self-liberation. It really is about liberating yourself and demonstrating that self-liberation to others. We know it's not comfortable. Like shoveling the shit is hard. It is hard work. And the only way to it is through it. We can use every, saying we want, but we know that the only way is to just get down and do the damn work. What was the most difficult part that you had to confront when you were writing your soul code?
Wow, what a good question. You're right that spiritual bypass does not work.
Mm-mm.
Any kind of denial only allows I, I said this with my first book, or it said me. This is not coming from me. This is coming through me. And it's most of everything that I write is my higher self being like, you should really take a look at this. So Please know that. In going back and reading this book that came through me, I am still learning things and I am still like taking my own advice on that because it is so, it is such a living, breathing journey. It's never over. We can't deny any part of it because, as I've said in my first book, monsters only grow in the darkness of our denial. So if we can have the courage to turn on our light of awareness, then we can activate that awareness. And activated awareness is consciousness, it's pure consciousness. So the most difficult part of this journey, living it. The most difficult part of this journey is vomiting everything on the page and then actually looking at it in black and white. The
Mm.
most difficult part of this journey was reconciling the fact that I have done some things and said some things that are so fucking embarrassing, that are mortifying, that are so shameful. I have experienced things that I would never want to share with anybody, and that I have shared with only a select few, and that I haven't shared. The difficulty, the struggle, the suffering is in the suppression because we
Mhm.
are not
Mm.
free if we can't really acknowledge everything that we've been through. And here's the truth of the matter. My soul mission on this earth, honestly, what I found out with my soul code is that I am here to break apart completely and stand naked in the face of existence, right? And then create that space and offer my expression as permission for people to do the same so that they can really realize how gorgeous and multifaceted they are. And that can only come if you include everything in your life. You have to
Mhm.
include it. You have to include it because the minute that you don't include it, the minute you are denying all of what makes you beautiful. And that doesn't mean that you beat the drum or wallow in, the suffering of it, because the truth of the matter is the suffering and the pain and the trauma ends the moment we survive it.
Mm.
The trauma actually is over the moment we survive that. Let's think about that for a moment, which means anything following that is us not in our inability to process that trauma and emotion. We are literally waking up every morning and we are picking up that heavy baggage and we are allowing ourselves to feel the pain, that arduousness, that effort, that exhaustion of carrying that shit around with us every single day. And it makes us so inflamed. We're seeing this around the country right now. It makes us so inflamed that anybody who just taps you on the shoulder, it's like they're stabbing you with a hot poker. This is why
Mhm.
everybody's reaction to a word or a name or a label is like, because we're all so inflamed. We haven't learned how to quell our nervous system. We haven't learned how to cool down and understand from a perspective that, you know what happens around me is not me. We don't have to identify with that. We don't have to identify as a victim for our entire life. We do have the freedom and the absolute agency to take the reins of our life and create it as we want. So it's the the not the difficulty, but the challenge is in the discovery. And the challenge, and through the discovery, then you can understand how to love yourself unconditionally. And
Mm.
after you do that, then you have a taste of what it feels like to be your authentic self. And it's like, oh dear God, it releases you from anybody else's expectation and anybody else's desire to imprison you in their own desire to for you to be different so they can feel better.
Wow.
Yes.
You've been a truth teller, an advocate, especially for survivors. How do you navigate the vulnerability of being seen, especially right now, stepping into the light with this particular book, Your Soul Code?
Oh, I think that is the beautiful dance that we do in life. I think that really is because it used to be when I was little, and you hear people talk about being an empath, and we're all empathic. We all have that capability to feel deeply. We're all attuned to energy. We all understand vibration from the moment we come into this life experience. And I'll hear a lot of empaths talk about something that I experienced, which was when you do feel things deeply and you are attuned to energy, then sometimes it can feel like you are walking around like a banana without a peel. You're walking around like a turtle without a shell, bruisable, beatable, like, and it's difficult and it's tough because we take on other people's energy, or one person says one thing to us and it compounds with the diatribe in our head, and it feels extra wretched, and it feels just hard and inflamed. And one of the beautiful things that I have learned throughout this experience is you can tune to that frequency. Absolutely. You can tune to the frequency of suffering and pain. And you also have the choice to tune to the beauty and the grandeur and the intricate, unbelievably spectacular nature of everything that is around us, too. It allows you in those moments of vulnerability to not feel like you have to wall yourself off from the entire world, which sometimes you do. If you are feeling extra vulnerable and interactions with people are just too much, you feel too open and you have to take care of yourself, then absolutely put some space between yourself and the world. And we all have moments of hibernation where we need to sort of reclaim and reintegrate all parts of ourselves. And at the same time, if you're able to tune your frequency, set your state of being, quell your nervous system, and understand that what's going on around you doesn't have to be you. You don't have to identify with everything going on around you. What people say, it's not who you are unless you let it be. So if you have the capability to really take a beat and understand that the world around you doesn't necessarily have to determine your state of being, then you can be in those beautiful, open, vulnerable states, and you can have grace with yourself to for being emotional. Maybe something that somebody says, or observing something in nature makes you cry. It's a beautiful thing. Why would we ever want to numb that? Why would we ever want to numb our ability to intake the world around us, truly? And if you are able to determine your frequency and not let it be at the behest of another person's emergency, then you can truly exercise the ability to love and let live, and understand that
Mhm.
everybody is on their own path. And not only on their own path, but exquisitely and perfectly exactly where they should be,
Yep.
exactly where they need to be. And it allows you to observe with compassion and kindness, not to be triggered by whatever is going on in their world, but to offer that soothing frequency of unconditional love and reverence for this life experience.
Mm.
Polo, I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. That's something that I like to study. It's a great book, and it's a study. It's not something that you read. But I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. Mary's probably heard me talk about it 1,800 million times. And the way that it starts out just really resonates to me with what you said, is that we all have the same curriculum in life. It is the order and timing which is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you can take a step back and say, that's just where they're at their journey, and that's perfect, and that's fine, and that's exactly the way it's supposed to be. But I'm at this place in my journey, and that's also perfect and fine and exactly the way it's supposed to be. It takes the angst and the judgment and the self-questioning and all of that out of it. So I love that you said that. Your work to me has a deeply sort of feminine current to it, but it is truly for everyone. It is truly for everyone. But how has been connecting with your feminine essence, your creativity, your softness, your intuition, how has it shaped the way that you lead? And listeners, I want you to understand, when I say lead, I mean there are leaders everywhere in life. Leader is not a title. Leader doesn't mean you're getting paid for people to follow you around. Leader is not something that is based on your paycheck. Leader is about the way that you inspire other people to follow you, even when they know the struggle is hard. So, how has all of that shaped the way that you lead in this life?
What a beautiful question. And I love your distinction as to what a leader is, because we are all leaders. We all
Hmm.
are leading our life. And if you don't feel like you are, well, then here is your bright, beautiful, bold opportunity to step into the leadership position of your life. It is, it is, it is when we abdicate our power under the myth that power is external, when we suffer the most. And especially right now in our world, it's really important that we understand that power is not external. Power is innate within us. We are the creators of our own reality, no matter what. So the only question is this working for me or not? And it's it's so vital and it's so important. And I so appreciate your distinction and your definition of leadership, but also bringing in masculine versus feminine, not even versus, masculine and feminine energy, because it all lives within each of us, right? And I've certainly spent so much time in that warrior space. I was accepted to West Point and the United States Air Force Academy. I went to the United States Air Force Academy. I so often in my life have been in that sort of warrior action oriented, goal oriented mode. And I want to highlight the fact that it is literally only when I really understood and could embody the fact that one doesn't exist without the other. It's not male, female. It has nothing to do with gender. It has everything to do with energy. And all of us, we all are everything. We are all things. We are all that is within each of our beingness. So whether we need that masculine energy at any given time or that feminine energy at any given time, the two have to work in this beautiful harmony. So whenever you get the opportunity to tap into that creative essence, to tap into that intuition, to tap into your innate ability to receive the world around you from a multifaceted point of view, this is this beautiful whisper of life force energy coming to you and through you in that unique prism that you are to to express it in whatever technicolor fashion that you want. So it's changed my leadership, not just in the expression of that feminine energy and that intuition. It's changed my leadership in the embodiment of the fact that we are all things. What's needed for this moment in time? And we'll start to hear the music and we'll start to hear the symphony that is playing through us. We'll start to hear those true notes of our soul and the music that they splay upon the page. And it's in that, it's in the variation, all those different notes. Sometimes when we're so like righteously angry or we're so fierce and fastidious or we set a goal and we're very hard-nosed about it. And then we realize, what the fuck have I set this goal? It's not something that I want anyways. Like all of those beautiful textures, all of those are notes on a page. And by the end of it, you look back and you're like, oh my God, what an incredible piece of music I've made with my life.
For the woman who's hearing those notes and starting to think, okay, this is resonating with me. I'm feeling this pull to reconnect with my truth, but I don't know where to begin. What do you say to her?
Oh, welcome. You
Mm,
have just realized the perfect portal to discover the truth of who you are.
wow.
And we're right here. There are resources beyond measure for you to ask those questions of yourself. Who am I right now? What is working in my life and what is not? Like, holy shit balls. Yes. Your soul is like, we've been waiting for you to ask those questions.
Yes.
Bring it on.
Yes,
Bring it
this
on.
is the moment.
Yes.
Polo, you are, of course, a force of energy. I think I said that at the beginning, but you consistently invite people into their wholeness without shame. What do you think most people need to unlearn in order to come whole to themselves?
That might be the most beautiful question ever. And the answer is individual to each one of us. And it's universal in its just by asking. It's universal in the nature of the question. Because that fundamental question, who am I, includes who am I not? What are my beliefs? what are beliefs that have been handed to me? And I always, in deep in my heart, when you ask that, is the fundamental question for me, which makes all the difference in this. And that is, what feels truly good versus what feels familiar? Because if you start asking those questions, you can start identifying those patterns of us abdicating our power, of us adopting other people's beliefs and expectations that don't fit. They don't fit anymore. When you can start asking that question and you have created enough space in yourself and in your nervous system to really start to discern what feels good to you versus what feels familiar to you, now you've got a pathway to really discover that, to find that out. Because an addiction is anything that blocks communication from your heart to your head.
Mm.
An addiction is any distraction that mutes the volume of your heart, which, by the way, speaks the truth in every single moment, and your head, which is our logical part. The minute we try to justify something, we have lost the thread of the truth of what our heart is trying to tell us. So anything that aids in that blockage, that is an addiction and distraction from us doing what we came here to do. And God knows it has been a lifelong journey for me to really understand and tune my ear and tune my inner ear and my heart and my awareness to what those things are that are blocking the true note and communication and truth of my heart and soul.
Mhm.
Wow. I'm not religious. I am spiritual, not religious, but I feel like I've just been to church. You know what I mean? Like just church. Everything you say, boom, boom. I love it. But I want to go back to the remembering really quickly. You say on your website, I'm here to help us all remember who we are. What does that remembering feel like in your own body these days?
You know, what I have been experiencing lately is peace, that stillness being the elevator to ascension, that ability to be still enough for even just a moment so that you can feel that exhilaration of whatever lights you up. It's the ability to feel deeply without fear that that feeling is going to crush you, drown you, hurt you. It is the ability to truly not have any barriers to the experience of life because you understand that we are infinite beings, have an infinite experience with infinite possibilities and infinite resources to create consciously the life that we want. And from that space, we can view this world as the adventure park that it is. And we can understand that we came here to create consciously the life that we want. It puts
Mhm.
just enough breathing room for us to feel free in our exploration and allow everyone and everything, all the nouns around us, person, place, or thing, to affect us in the most beautiful way, to transform us, to touch us, to impact us without us feeling constantly crushed by it and without us holding ourselves back from being really in it. Because why did we come here? Why else did we come here if not to experience everything? That's
So we're getting very close to our no filter finale, Polo, which is a fun time when we just ask you a question and the first thing that comes to mind, you answer it. There's no right or wrongs. But before we get to that, I want to just, your book comes out in September. So when folks are lucky enough to get a copy and read it, what do you want them to take away from that?
my deepest invitation for readers and participants in the game of life to take away from this book is truly to understand how the spectacular nature of who they are, as is also their beautiful becoming.
As is. I love that. Well, this is the time for our Wild Her Wisdom No Filter finale. We love to end our shows on this. Again, rapid fire, first thing that comes to mind. There's no wrong answers. It'll give the listeners and us a chance to learn a little bit more about you.
Dear God, God help us.
Are you ready?
God.
Okay, Polo, what's one word your soul is anchored in right now?
Freedom, freedom.
Sunrise or moonlight?
Yes. Oh dear. You know what? I'm just gonna say right now, I'm not very good at these if you give me an either or because it's always yes.
I
It's all
love the yes. What's a belief you've recently let go of?
every day there is a new layer of something that I have either done out of just obligation or the fact that it was expected that I release. It is literally a daily thing. And I just actually that's the belief I've just released. The fact that I should somehow hold on to these beliefs. This fact that I should somehow hold on to this framework or ideology because it defines who I am. And that goes against the very nature of everything I hold dear. So it's that belief that has been the most liberating thus far.
What's your personal soul ritual that you always bring that always brings you back to yourself?
I am deeply entwined with my body. If there's something not feeling good on my body, I have to address it because it affects my brain, my ability to communicate, my everything. So one thing that has remained sort of standard my entire life is movement in some way, whether that's working out, whether that's lifting, whether that's whatever, just addressing my body, never ever leaving it out of the equation because it always bites me in the ass if I
If your younger self could hear one thing from you today, what would it be?
You are so worthy to be who you are, as is, and in your becoming. It is not only important, it's vital to you and the world to be the full expression of your true self.
What's a song that feels like your soul anthem right now?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I hope I find out today. You know, one song that always, even when I was like really little, was Here Comes the Sun. And for some reason, anytime that I'm feeling either woody or like I need it, um, that song will come over the loudspeaker in a store or just randomly. It will sort of meet me where I am and just kiss me on the nose. So it might be a message from my sister. Ooh, yes, I just got rolling chills. Ah! It might be a message from my sister, just a reminder and confirmation that you are so loved and that we bring light wherever we go. So make sure to never, ever, ever let it be fettered. Shine who you are. It's important. It lights the path for not only you, but it gives people permission to shine themselves. So
Mm. If truth had a scent, a color, a sound, what would they be?
ooh, oh my gosh. Whatever gives you rolling chills and feels like they are butterflying, kissing you all over your body. So for me, that's any given moment. My favorite color, quote unquote, can be anything. Or it's whatever really sort of smacks you across the heart and takes over your body and your beingness with all of those beautiful thrill bumps. It's that. Whatever
Mm.
gives you that, oh my God, that's the good stuff.
Nice. What's one wild thing you've done recently that made you feel fully alive?
I guess actually, hmm. Thank God people don't know where I live, but I stripped naked, fully naked, and laid out and laid out on the roof. And I am telling you, it allowed me to feel the breeze. It was like the whisper of air across my body was like a French kiss. It was like subtly warm and just it had that hint of humidity. It allowed me to feel the sun like radiating on my skin. It allowed me to feel alive in the most magical way. And it was one of the most liberating experiences I've ever had in my life. Now, if some drone footage shows up on the internet, I may be able to release, but just the act of doing it, of literally laying naked in the face of existence, was one of the possibly the most liberating things
There she is, right on Google Maps.
ever.
What is your soul code in 3 words?
It's not going to be 3 words, but I've said before, my actual soul code is I'm here to be the full expression of my true self, and from that state, invite and ignite others to do the same. And the way that I do that is to create conscious content and offer it to the world. It's the way that I do that is to fail massively and offer the wisdom so that people don't have to go through it themselves. They can take the wisdom and leave the rest.
All right, last question, Polo. Last one on the hot seat. What legacy do you hope that your soul code leaves in the hearts of those who read it?
I hope that it activates their awareness and their understanding of themselves in such a way where they then can stoke that pilot light of the embers of their passion inside of them and light their way around the world, light their way to a better life, a better feeling life, a a sense of purpose and clarity and passion and intention. That is my invitation. If I can spark even one person to change their life for the better so that they can own it and see how beautiful they are, fractally beautiful that they are, what a legacy that I can not only leave, but that I can live too. It inspires me every moment to see people doing the damn thing, like the two of you. So, bring it on.
Polo, thank you. This was soulful. It was raw. It was exactly what we needed, especially me. I love it. Where can our listeners go and where can I go to pre-order your soul code and stay in your world?
The feeling is 100,000% mutual. I love you too. You inspire me daily, truly, with everything that you are and everything that you choose to be and everything that you do. So you may find everything you need and more at poloriotate.com. That's POLOREOTATE.com. You will find, before my book comes out, we're offering a program that's sort of a living, breathing rendition of this book where people can actively participate in it. We're offering some workshops that are in person, which Shelley
Yes.
tell you about. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Can I say the name of it? Because
Yes,
I'm
please.
so excited about this workshop. So Polo and I are doing a workshop this fall. We're still landing on the date, but we'll make sure that we let you know. But it's called Unapologetically You, Master Your Vibe and Own the Room.
I want to be first in line.
I don't know about you, but I would like to attend that. Let's light some shit on fire. Come on, you guys.
Let's do it. Okay, listeners, we have to bring this to a close. It has been such a wonderful journey. Just to take away from the show, the one thing we just want you to know, trust the knowing inside of you. You know everything that you need to know. You are worthy. We'll see you next time here on Wild Heart Wisdom.
And just like that, beautiful soul, we have wrapped up another episode of Wild Her Wisdom. But don't let the journey end here. Come connect with us. Follow us on Instagram, like our Facebook page, and visit wildherwisdom.com to catch up on episodes, grab extra inspiration, and stay part of our Wild Her community. And remember, the conversations here are for your inspiration and empowerment, not professional, medical, or therapeutic advice. Trust yourself and reach out to qualified pros when you need to. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and keep living your Wild Her life. You are powerful, you are wise, and you are absolutely unstoppable.